Sometimes it seems that someone cursed a person because he steps on the same race time after time, and each time does not learn a valuable lesson from it. Unfortunately, many people make the same mistake, and this also applies when choosing partners. Someone specifically enters into a relationship with someone who can change him. Arnold Prentiss helped his wife, Terry, into their low-slung 2015 Corvette. "The new models are out," he hinted, as he slid into the driver's seat. He drove out of the parking lot of Dr. Farbacker's medical office and headed north on Highway 19 toward Elgin, Louisiana. Terry clung to his arm, giggling with delight. "Let's see, you're 66 now. Ooh," Terry teased. "That means you'll be 84 when she graduates high school." Arnold corrected with a smile. The 29-year-old woman suddenly had a thought. "You're happy, right?" she asked. "You do want the baby, don't you?" He had assured her he was thrilled at the possibility when she first shared her suspicions. He had reassured her when making the appointment with Dr. Mark Farbacker, and again while they waited for the results in the young doctor's office. But now, the attractive brunette looked uncertain. 64-year-old Arnold Prentiss first encountered 27-year-old Terry Huval at a fundraiser for St. Anne's Animal Shelter. Terry was a volunteer, and Arnold was one of the donors. Arnold couldn't have cared less if every animal in St. Anne Parish perished the next day. However, as a businessman, he understood that a $1,000 donation could translate into tens of thousands of dollars in goodwill and positive public relations. Terry was well aware of her attractiveness. She'd been told so all her life. With her sweet smile, large brown doe-like eyes, and ample curves, she drew the attention of the few donors who attended the wine and cheese event. While they made small talk and dropped a few $100s into her collection bucket, their eyes rarely strayed above her low-cut top. Then Arnold approached and dropped a $5,000 check into her bucket. That generous contribution earned him her phone number and a date. He took her to Henri's, an exclusive French restaurant in Elgin. After dinner, they enjoyed a helicopter tour of the Atchafalaya Basin, followed by a visit to his large home, where they ended the evening in bed. Arnold Jerome Prentiss wasn't an unattractive man, but he wasn't particularly appealing either. His features were somewhat pinched, his hair was a dull gray, and his brown eyes were narrow and harsh. His chest was sunken, his belly protruded, and his legs were thin and spindly. If Arnold Prentiss had hit the wall with his manhood, his sharp nose would have hit the wall first. Terry was no stranger to intimacy when she found herself in Arnold's spacious bed. Before that, she was with 4 men and 2 women. All the men did what Arnold Prentiss did. Less than a year after the fundraiser, Arnold proposed to Terry, and she accepted. Now, as they drove north on Highway 19, Terry asked Arnold again if he was happy to have a baby. The car was crossing Highway 52. Suddenly, an 18-wheeled truck appeared behind their powerful car. Arnold's heart sank when he noticed another 18-wheeled truck in the south lane, also heading north. Ahead, on the narrow road, he could make out 2 dark specks. For 7 miles between Highway 52 and Highway 54, there were almost no curbs on this section of Highway 19. There were deep drainage ditches on both sides of the narrow road. "Damn! Damn! Damn!" Arnold cursed as the 18-wheeled truck behind them crept even closer to their bumper. Terry looked around in confusion. She saw a large truck behind them and another truck moving in the oncoming lane almost parallel to them. 2 dark specks were approaching them ahead. Arnold jabbed the button for the Bluetooth connection on the dashboard. "Yes?" A harsh voice interrupted Arnold's classical music. "She's supposed to be heading south," Arnold snapped. "We're going north. I'm in the car." "Oh?" The voice sounded amused. "Call it off," Arnold demanded. "Call it off? Why, Arnold, why?" Terry's voice trembled as realization dawned. "Because, you idiot, I had a vasectomy 20 years ago," Arnold yelled. "Sorry, Mr. Prentiss, that's not possible," the man chuckled. Listen, damn it, I'll pay double, Arnold shouted. It's not about the money, Mr. Prentiss. The man's voice turned cold. It's about my sister. Remember Gloria? She drowned, Arnold cried. It was an accident. She drowned, for God's sake. But there was only a cold, metallic click in response. Arnold would have admired the precision of the choreography. When the 4 tractor-trailers came to a halt, there was less than a foot of space between their front bumpers. The first tractor, traveling south in the wrong lane, reversed, rolling over the wrecked 2015 Corvette that had slid beneath it. The driver kept the trailer steady and then moved behind the other southbound tractor. The northbound tractor moved forward, further crushing the remains. The northbound tractor in the wrong lane then reversed, swerved into the correct lane, and also ran over the remains of the unfortunate vehicle. The driver of the second, now northbound tractor stopped again just past the scattered debris. Darren Ladeau, who had been losing his battle with heroin addiction, was now asleep against the passenger window of the tractor. The driver reached over, pulled Darren into the driver's seat, and climbed down. Huh? Darren muttered. The driver got into the second southbound tractor, nodded to his partner, and the partner sounded his horn. The first southbound tractor-trailer started moving, followed by the second. The entire sequence took less than 4 minutes from the time Arnold and Terry had crossed Highway 52 to the moment Eric Rodriguez, Gloria's brother, radioed in to report seeing a tractor-trailer running over a sports car. Darren Ladeau would later be charged with vehicular homicide, but would die from untreated hepatitis before the trial began. Barbara Hinton drove her 1978 Z28 to the Hinton Chevrolet dealership again. Her Boston 8-track tape was stuck once more. Her father claimed she forced it in too hard, but Barbara knew that wasn't the case. Got stuck again? Asked Zeke, the head mechanic, as Barbara carefully stepped out of the car, her weight of 247 pounds shifting with her. Yeah, and it wasn't my fault, Barbara replied, before Zeke could suggest otherwise. Hey, it happens, Zeke said with a shrug. Arnold Prentiss was a new salesman at the dealership, but at 28, he was already gaining a reputation. He was a driven salesman who knew how to persuade customers into adding those extra options that increased the price of their new car. Hey there, while Zeke's working on your car, how about taking a look at some of our other vehicles? Arnold suggested to the overweight 18-year-old. Barbara gave him a sly smile. I'm Barbara. My dad owns this place, she said confidently. I know, Arnold replied with a smile. I saw your picture on his desk. He took her chubby hand and placed it on his arm, leading her away from the service area. Just needed an excuse to talk to you, Arnold admitted. By the time Arnold and Barbara had finished checking out some of the flashy conversion vans, the love vans on the lot, Zeke had already removed her Boston tape and left it on the passenger seat. Hey, Boston is playing at the Biloxi Amphitheater next Thursday, Arnold said. Want to go? Glenn and Peggy Hinton strictly forbade their 18-year-old daughter from attending the concert with a 28-year-old man. It was a school night. She was only 18, and he was much too old for her. But Barbara defied them, sneaking out of the house to meet Arnold at the corner. He borrowed a van from his neighbor and took with him plants, natural gifts. The concert was loud and wild. Barbara Reed tasted beer and plants for the first time, and at a gas station on I-10 at 3:41 a.m., she engaged in intimacy for the first time. Barbara was grounded for a month, and Glenn seriously considered firing the cocky salesman. But Arnold's sales numbers were too good to justify it. 2 months after the Boston concert, Barbara revealed she was pregnant. The wedding was arranged in a hurry, and Glenn gave them a honeymoon in Hawaii. Arnold was convinced that the honeymoon in Hawaii was intended as a punishment. Being intimate with a 250-kilogram girl in the back seat of a dark van while drunk was quite difficult and turned into a real torment. During their honeymoon, Barbara learned a lot. She also discovered her addiction to alcohol as Arnold was constantly giving her drinks. If she had fainted from drinking too much, he might have been able to avoid intimacy with her. Fat, drunk, tanned, and happy with life, Barbara moved into a small apartment that Arnold rented. Within a month of the wedding, Barbara pestered her father, persuaded him to take out a mortgage loan. By the time she gave birth to Edward Jerome Prentiss, her weight had skyrocketed from 247 to 310 pounds. From the moment Eddie cried for the first time, Arnold felt love and a deep connection with another person. The child was perfect, with a shock of dark curly hair, long eyelashes, and a chubby cherubic face. Glenn and Peggy were equally devoted to their first grandson. Suddenly Barbara felt hurt and angry. She was the only child of Glenn and Peggy, and she was the center of their attention all her life. She was always the one they doted on, coddled and pampered. Barbara kept eating and drinking, and by the time Eddie turned 1, she weighed 338 pounds. Arnold continued to dominate sales, consistently outperforming his colleagues at Hinton Chevrolet, selling several more cars each month than anyone else. "So, Prentiss, what's your secret?" asked an older, more experienced salesman. "Simple, I don't care," Arnold replied. "I don't care about their petty little problems, their mortgages, high-interest loans, or how many kids they have. The only thing I care about is making sure they drive out of here in one of my cars." 2 days after Eddie's 4th birthday, Glenn had his first heart attack. His second heart attack left the once big, burly, and outgoing man a shadow of his former self, reduced to a mumbling, drooling, shuffling figure. It was then that Arnold approached Glenn and Peggy with an offer to buy Hinton Chevrolet from them. By this point, Glenn and Peggy still hadn't warmed up to the brash man, even though he was the father of their beloved grandson. But selling the dealership would finally give them the freedom to pursue the things they had been putting off. 2 months after Hinton Chevrolet was rebranded as Prentiss Chevrolet, Glenn experienced his third and final heart attack. Arnold held his wife's trembling hand as she cried deeply. He consoled her, comforted her, and even made love to her the night following her father's funeral. Peggy struggled to cope with the death of her husband, her first and only love. Less than a month after his passing, Peggy drank a glass of white wine and took a handful of sleeping pills. By the time the bottle was empty, she had swallowed all the pills. The housekeeper found Peggy the next morning lying on her bed with a photograph of Glenn Hinton in her hand. It was a photo of Glenn Hinton in his high school football uniform from a time when he had been a strikingly handsome young man. Arnold made arrangements for Peggy to be buried with that photograph. He once again held her hand, provided comfort as she wept, and he once more made love to her. 3 weeks after Eddie's 5th birthday, Barbara, weighing 391 pounds, was in their kitchen indulging in a gallon of Bluebell strawberries and cream ice cream, while little Eddie, with his curly hair, played outside. "Hi," said a smiling man. "Have you seen my puppy?" Arnold did not hold his wife's hand at their beloved child's funeral. He did not comfort her. He did not make love to her. At 412 pounds, Barbara Margaret Hinton Prentiss decided to start a diet. She bought diet pills and stocked up on fresh fruits and vegetables. After a month of her severe diet, she had only lost 17 pounds. She increased her water intake, doubled her dose of diuretics and diet pills, and almost entirely cut out food. By the end of the following month, she had lost 53 pounds. However, she couldn't enjoy her appearance. Her vision was deteriorating, her hair was falling out in patches, and a severe rash was developing on her neck and chest. Someone suggested laxatives and sea salt enemas. Arnold Prentiss came home after his usual 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. workday. He realized he hadn't seen or heard from Barbara in a few days. With Prentiss Chevrolet closed on Sundays, he couldn't even recall if he had seen her the previous Sunday. "Barbara," he called out. Entering her bedroom, he saw the unmade bed and frowned. He disliked messy beds. "Barbara," he called again. He braced himself and opened the bathroom door, a place he found particularly unpleasant due to his aversion to other people's bathroom habits. When he bought Hinton Chevrolet, One of the first things he did was install a private bathroom in his office. "Barbara," he called, not wanting to step into the bathroom. "Arnold," Barbara gurgled weakly, slumped against the wall by the commode. Arnold called for an ambulance. The University Medical Center in Lafayette, Louisiana sent a team, and the paramedics struggled to get the severely dehydrated Barbara onto the gurney. Unfortunately, in the process, her heart failed, and she died before they could even get her out of the bathroom. Arnold J. Prentiss excelled in his role as a mourning widower. As the spouse of Glenn and Peggy Hinton's only child, he reaped significant benefits from his portrayal. He remained single for 4 years. This doesn't imply celibacy, but none of his visitors stayed beyond a few nights. In 1988, Arnold encountered Gloria Rodriguez while she was searching for an affordable, dependable car. The 22-year-old woman had long black hair that cascaded down to her ankles, though it did little to conceal her attractive figure as she bent over to inspect the car's price tag. When Gloria stood up, her displeased expression became evident, and her ample chest caught the eye of the salesperson approaching her. Arnold had noticed Gloria first and quickly intervened, intercepting Dale Green before he could approach her. Despite not having been on the sales floor for years, Arnold immediately switched into sales mode. While Dale occupied himself with showing a pickup truck to a young couple, Arnold launched into a full sales pitch. They got married 6 months after Gloria Rodriguez first visited his car dealership, and Arnold even took a week off from work for their honeymoon. Hawaii was a grueling trip with a morbidly obese woman, but it was a real joy with a 22-year-old girl with a tanned body perfect for a bright yellow swimsuit. If Gloria noticed that her husband looked out of place on the beach and that he didn't belong in public unless he was dressed in a formal suit, she kept her thoughts to herself. She retained the role of a loving, attentive, and flirtatious wife in relation to her husband, who had aged significantly at that time. After retiring to their hotel room, Gloria demonstrated her abilities in bed. Arnold, unaware that she was pretending, sincerely believed that she was enjoying intimacy. 7 months after their wedding, Gloria was at the breakfast table enjoying her usual waffles with strawberry preserves when she suddenly rushed from the table. She barely made it to the bathroom before her coffee and 3 bites of waffle came up. Arnold, repulsed, pushed his own breakfast away and quickly left for work. He called Gloria at lunchtime, and she reassured him that she was feeling better. The next morning, she only managed a few bites before becoming ill again. This time, Arnold made the connection and eagerly contacted Dr. Morris, the OB-GYN, who had assisted Barbara with Eddie's birth. "But I'm on the pill," Gloria protested. "Accidents happen," Arnold replied, clearly pleased. At Dr. Morris's office, the doctor conducted a routine physical, took blood samples, and promised to provide the results the next day. While in the office, Gloria started to cough, a dry, persistent cough. "Sweetheart," she croaked to Arnold, "could you get me some water?" Arnold stood up and left the room. He then put his ear to the door. "Doctor, is there any way to tell the baby's race?" Arnold overheard. He got a cup of water from the dispenser and brought it back to the office. "Thank you, sweetheart," Gloria said with a smile. Arnold took his seat and noticed that Dr. Morris was having difficulty meeting his gaze. In contrast, Gloria had no trouble looking him in the eye. "Like I said, we should have the results tomorrow. Please call me in the morning, okay?" Dr. Morris said, clearing his throat. 4 days later, Arnold held a tearful Gloria as she told him about the miscarriage she had experienced. Her tears were sincere. Gloria was a Catholic and considered terminating a pregnancy a grave sin. But her fear of Arnold went beyond the usual. He was rich, powerful, and truly sociopathic by nature. She noticed that Arnold Prentiss was completely devoid of empathy. Arnold hugged his wife while she mourned the loss of their child, but he did not show tears. Instead, he made her a cup of chamomile tea, into which he crushed the 4 Valium tablets that Barbara gave him. "Here, honey," he said softly. This will help you sleep." His soothing tone should have alerted Gloria. She took the tea and drank it, noticing the teaspoon of honey he had added. After finishing her cup and refusing the second one, she tried to get up from the couch, but her legs gave way and she stumbled. "Come on, honey," he said cheerfully. "Maybe a little fresh air will do you good." "Arnie, it's cold in here," she muttered as the fresh March wind blew over them. She resisted when he started undressing her. "Arnie, we're outside," she protested weakly. "I just had a miscarriage. I'm not in the mood. I'll do anything you want, just not this." Arnold escorted the mumbling, stumbling woman to the swimming pool. "Arnie, it's too cold. I don't want to swim," she complained. The icy water did revive her a bit, but in her drugged state, she was unable to resist, as Arnold, fully clothed, jumped in and pushed her underwater. He stood on her long, flowing hair, keeping her submerged. By this point, she was fully conscious and struggling to reach the surface. But his weight on her hair kept her pinned down. She twisted and turned, desperately trying to escape. Her final sight was his impassive face as he watched the light fade from her eyes. Arnold kept his wife submerged by her long, beautiful hair until he could no longer bear the biting cold. When he couldn't tolerate it any longer, he dragged Gloria by her hair to the steps and pulled her out of the water. Leaving a trail of water through the house, he went to the kitchen phone and dialed O for the operator. April Boudreau has applied for the position of Arnold J.'s personal assistant, Prentiss. She was an energetic, plump, 19-year-old girl with long brown hair, big brown eyes, and a beautiful figure. She couldn't type at all, and because of her strong Cajun accent, she was difficult to understand not only for Arnold, but also for many of his clients. Despite these difficulties, the young woman showed great interest in bed life and even taught Arnold Prentiss a lot. 4 months after being hired, a petite 4'11" girl walked into Arnold's office, closed the door, and turned to face him. "So I got pregnant. What are we going to do about it?" "What is it?" she asked. Arnold asked her to marry him, and April stared at him for a long time. "I made one mistake, and I'm not going to make another," she replied. "How do I even know that this is my child?" Arnold objected, upset by her refusal. "How do you know that's not true?" She objected. April stopped working for Arnold that day. 6.5 months later, she gave birth to Robin Michael Boudreau. Arnold saw the baby 3 days after his birth and was certain that he was the father. Robin had the same long eyelashes and dark curly hair as Edward Prentiss, and even his cries resembled Eddie's wails. Yet April still refused to marry Arnold. Savannah Mortensen entered Arnold's life in the same way April had, by applying for the job of personal assistant. She was a tall, slender beauty with long red hair and voluptuous breasts. While the hair was dyed and the breasts were surgically enhanced, Arnold didn't mind either alteration. Since April was costing Arnold $1,200 a month, Arnold and Savannah agreed they didn't want children. Arnold had a vasectomy, and Savannah took care of him during his recovery. The 24-year-old beauty smiled as Arnold complained about his discomfort, contemplating whether to tell him that she had already had her tubes tied on her 21st birthday. She decided it wasn't worth mentioning. After all, it was in the past. Savannah had no desire for children. She had never liked them, and she resented Robin Boudreau, Arnold's son. A vasectomy guaranteed that once Robin was out of the picture, Arnold's wealth would belong to her alone. Removing Arnold would be a piece of cake. He suffered from diabetes mellitus, took insulin orally daily, but did not exclude sugar or carbohydrates from his diet, insisting that this was the purpose of insulin. He also had high blood pressure, but refused to reduce his sodium intake. He also struggled with high cholesterol and often joked that his blood was as thick as toothpaste. When April saw the coldness in Savannah's eyes, she decided not to leave her son alone with her. Arnold didn't mind. He didn't have much time for the child due to his busy schedule running his car empire. Since Louisiana relaxed its laws by allowing Arnold to work on Sundays, He typically worked 7 days a week. Savannah was fine with that. Not having to look after her husband's unpleasant child or spend time with Arnold allowed her to do what she loved: spend his money. One of her expenses, which Arnold fully paid for, was Savannah's love of silk underwear. Arnold wholeheartedly supported Savannah's decision to increase her breasts from a 36-inch size to a G size. The same experienced surgeon also increased the volume of her lips with collagen, tightened the skin on her neck and larynx, and performed a chemical peeling. Arnold spent several $1,000s on cosmetic repairs for his wife, but it took weeks before the tumor subsided enough for him to assess the changes. "Damn it, I could buy a new TV with this money," Arnold grumbled when Savannah refused to make love to him for the first time. "Yes, but the new TV wears out sooner or later," Savannah replied smugly. "But this breast is forever." In 2004, the day after Robin's 11th birthday, Savannah had another operation. Nothing serious, but she had an adverse reaction to the anesthesia. Even after his wife's death, Arnold did not devote time to his child. He just kept paying April alimony every month. Robin's father proudly told the young man that he hadn't attended college himself, yet had managed to make a name for himself. Robin Boudreau acknowledged this, but reassured his father that a combination of textbook knowledge and natural skill would benefit both him and his father. Arnold provided very little support and assistance to his son, and his resentment seemed to grow. Since Robin was attending college, Arnold had to keep sending April his hard-earned money. At least Robin had come to accept that Arnold was too busy to spend time with him. Arnold did acknowledge Robin's graduation from the University of Louisiana at DeGard with a degree in business administration, though he did not attend the ceremony. There was no graduation gift, check, watch, or cufflinks from him. Instead, there was a voicemail from April, gleefully announcing that her time with Arnold Jerome Prentiss's financial support had come to an end. "Arnold? Really?" Terry had snapped, her pretty face showing her displeasure. "What?" Arnold retorted at his wife. "It's not your damned money." "No, but that's our child," Terry replied. "Seriously, is this how you're going to treat him?" "Him," Arnold sneered, grabbing his crotch. "Ain't nothing but boys in these boys," he said, conveniently ignoring the fact that he had a vasectomy. A few weeks after their minor disagreement, Arnold looked across Highway 19 with irritation. New construction was causing a lot of dust and debris. Every evening after the workers had stopped their heavy machinery, Arnold had to hire 4 college girls to stand out in the summer heat to wash and wax his cars, removing the day's dust and grime. The 4 cheerleaders from ULD drew attention as they washed and waxed the cars, playfully squirting each other while flaunting their string bikinis. Despite the distraction, it was an expense Arnold would have preferred to avoid. A few weeks after the construction started, it wrapped up. Then a sign was erected, and a steady stream of trucks began arriving. "What the hell?" Arnold shouted as he saw Boudreau Ford in bold letters. At 22, Robin lacked the experience required to qualify for a Ford franchise, but his mother, April Boudreau, did. She eagerly completed all the necessary paperwork, signed the documents, and then appointed Robin as the general manager. "Hi, Dad. Are you here to test drive one of the Mustangs?" Robin greeted Arnold cheerfully as he stormed into the brand-new showroom. "You son of a bitch!" Arnold spat out venomously at his son. "Really? Mom always refers to me as, 'You son of a bastard,'" Robin responded with a smile. "I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but you're going to lose. I'll crush you like the insect you are, do you hear me?" Arnold yelled. "Who's that?" Arnold heard a customer ask one of the attractive saleswomen. "That? That's Prentiss. He owns the place across the street." The young blonde chuckled. "Want to buy a car from him?" Arnold gritted his teeth and glared at his son before turning and storming out of the showroom. "See you. Come again," Robin called out, then turned to welcome a potential customer who had arrived just as Arnold was leaving. Arnold watched as each potential sale drove away from Boudreau Ford, feeling the sting of every car that left the lot. Though his own sales were still strong, he perceived every transaction across the street as a lost opportunity. Arnold's endocrinologist advised him to improve his diabetes management, noting that his blood sugar levels typically remained around 200. His general practitioner also recommended that Arnold increase his physical activity and lose some weight. "Arnold, if you don't get your blood pressure under control, you're at a high risk for a stroke," Dr. Farbacker warned. "And with that sludge you call blood, I'm amazed your heart can even function," the young doctor added. Terry chimed in, "I'm surprised he even has a heart," which made Arnold smile despite himself. Despite the advice, Arnold made no changes. His only form of exercise consisted of venting his frustrations during sales meetings, directing his anger at Boudreau Ford. One day, while Arnold was at work, Terry drove her Corvette to Babbage's department store in Bender, Louisiana. She personally disliked the lingerie and undergarments that Arnold insisted she wear. "Arnold, girls of easy virtue wear such things," she protested. "So what? Be a girl of easy virtue," Arnold objected. After ruining another pair of stockings, Terry decided to replace them. She preferred pantyhose, but Arnold loathed them. "Whenever I sit down, the garter straps dig into my legs," Terry tried to explain. "And pantyhose gets in the way," Arnold replied. "Wow, that's a nice car. Is that a 2015 model?" a handsome young man asked as Terry stepped out of the Corvette. "Yes, it is," Terry replied with a sweet smile at Virgil Arsenault. "Do you have one?" "Yeah, right," Virgil chuckled. "No, that's my awesome Corolla over there." "Ooh, a Corolla. I've heard they can go from 0 to 40 in 10 minutes flat," Terry teased lightly. "And they get fantastic gas mileage while doing it," the unemployed man added. That was his reason for being at the high-end department store. First Union Bank had noticed some unusual activity at his station. He seemed to spend an excessive amount of time looking at accounts that hadn't been active for 12 months or more. Heidi Moak, the branch manager, deemed this sufficient grounds to let Virgil go. After that, he began working in accounting at St. Elizabeth Parish Trauma Center. It didn't take Paula Lambert, the CEO, long to realize that Virgil was a master at appearing busy while accomplishing nothing at all. Next, he was let go from Abdul's jewelry counter after allowing a friend to borrow a Rolex watch. The friend had also managed to take a Cartier, a Cross, and 3 Seiko watches. The street value of these luxury watches was substantial enough to cover Virgil's rent for 3 months. Since there was no evidence linking Virgil directly to his friend's theft, only Sandy was arrested, leaving Virgil jobless once again. Virgil had just interviewed with Brian O'Neill, the head of security at a trendy department store. Now, as he spoke with an attractive woman, he was thankful for his sunglasses. Her figure was impressive, but he was certain she wouldn't appreciate his staring. "So, trade you?" Virgil suggested. "I'm not sure," Terry teased, walking away. Virgil matched her pace as she moved. "I'm not doing anything right now," he said casually. "Curious to see what a Corvette driver buys here." "You might be disappointed," she replied with a smile as he held the door open for her. With a young man standing nearby, Terry bought sheer stockings to replace her damaged pair and also picked up a red pair. Noticing his interest and the noticeable bulge in his suit trousers, Terry decided to get a black pair as well, the kind with the line running up the back. "Nope, not disappointed at all," Virgil said as he carried her small package for her. He handed her the package when they reached her car. Hey, do you ever eat at Clark's?" Virgil asked. Arnold was a fan of Clark's Drive-In, but Terry was tired of the burgers there. "Actually, I'm sick of the place," Terry admitted. "Do you ever go to Salad Lights?" "I love that place," Virgil said, not truthfully. Terry drove them to the small restaurant and ordered a grilled tofu mixed green salad with raspberry vinaigrette. Virgil hesitated before finally ordering a cranberry and orange salad with ranch dressing. He flashed his best smile, used his wittiest comments, and made a few light jabs at her husband. He was satisfied when Terry didn't defend Arnold. When Terry suggested taking a quick walk to burn off the calories he'd spent, Virgil noticed that he wasn't exactly dressed for such an activity. So Terry drove him home and watched him change clothes. Like her husband, Virgil had a somewhat thin build, a slightly protruding stomach and thin legs. As a result, they did not go for a short walk. After Virgil and Terry got intimate, she drove him back to his Toyota Corolla, which was still parked in Babbage's parking lot, and drove away. Damn right, Virgil chuckled to himself. With a woman like that, I will eat salad every day. 2.5 months later, Virgil climbed 2 flights of stairs and found an eviction notice taped to his door. Dejected, he unlocked his apartment. When he was about to open the door, 2 burly men forcefully pushed him inside. The door flew open from the impact. Virgil stumbled and fell inside. "Hi, Virgil," one of the men said cheerfully, slamming the door with his foot. "I hear you like messing with women who aren't your wives," another man said in a similarly cheerful tone, grabbing Virgil by his thinning hair. "What am I?" "She never did. I didn't know she was—" Virgil stammered, trying to lie. A blow to the face silenced him. Then the 2 men began to beat him methodically. Every time Virgil lost consciousness, they doused him with cold water until he regained consciousness, but only to beat him again. "Maybe next time you won't take off your pants, huh?" one of the men finally said before they both left. 3 hours later, Virgil managed to drag himself to the next apartment and knocked weakly on the door until the tenant answered. "Oh my God!" a neighbor exclaimed when he saw his beaten friend. Arnold and Terry Prentiss's funerals were both held with closed caskets. Attendance was sparse at both the memorial and the funeral services. Although Terry had friends before her marriage to Arnold, his harsh demeanor and controlling nature had driven them away. Robin and his mother attended the services, but neither of them was emotional. Arnold had been a cold, domineering figure to both of them. Arnold's employees made brief appearances, but none were visibly upset. "So, what's going to happen to Prentiss Chevrolet now?" Robin asked his mother. "I'm not sure," April replied. "But it's a franchise, so they'll probably take it back, I guess." Robin then reached out to General Motors about maintaining the franchise. General Motors agreed to a temporary extension while their accounting team reviewed the Prentiss Chevrolet books. The day after his father and stepmother's funeral, Robin dressed in his best suit and went to Prentiss Chevrolet. He gave a small wave to his own showroom before pulling open the door of the dealership. A group of salespeople were gathered in a corner. Robin waited, but the 5 men and 2 women did not come over. A young woman with quite large breasts was sitting at a desk smiling at Robin. She flipped her long red hair back, then appeared disheartened as Robin approached the cluster of salespeople. "Excuse me," he said calmly. Yeah, just a minute, Junior," a burly man replied, not even looking at Robin. And then the old guy says, "Hey, who the heck shaved off my beard?" The group burst into laughter. Robin moved toward the red-haired woman. "Hi, can I help you?" she asked cheerfully. "Yes, who is the guy in the sky blue jacket?" Robin inquired. "Oh, that's Guy. He's the sales manager," the woman said, her expression showing clear disapproval. "And which desk is his?" Robin asked further. "That one, right there," she said, pointing with a perfectly manicured nail at a desk. "Hey, need help?" Guy demanded as Robin sat down at his desk. "I'll be with you in a minute, Grandpa," Robin said as he started typing on Guy's keyboard. "Young man, you need to get up right now," Guy said. It was clear that the sales manager was accustomed to using his size to intimidate others. Robin suspected that 30 or 40 years ago, Guy had been a high school athlete, likely a football player. He had probably dreamed of making it to the professional leagues and never considered a career in car sales. "All right, Guy, you can clear out your desk now," Robin said, standing up again. "We no longer need your services at Prentiss Chevrolet." "What?" Guy roared, his wrinkled, sagging face going pale. "And the same goes for all of you," Robin continued loudly. "When I walked into your showroom, the only person who greeted me was the young lady at the desk. If standing around and joking with each other is more important than serving customers, then sales isn't the right field for you." "Who the hell do you think you are?" another salesperson shouted. "Robin Boudreau, General Motors representative. If you doubt my authority to terminate your employment, call Steve Crowley at Franchise Licensing," Robin said firmly. "I can give you his number if you don't already have it." Under threats of violence and potential lawsuits, the 7 salespeople departed. Throughout the entire ordeal, the red-haired girl remained at her desk, paralyzed with shock and fear. "By the way, what's your name?" Robin inquired while watching the street through the large glass windows. "Maddie," the girl replied. "Mathilda Bryan, but everyone calls me Maddie." "When do the other salespeople usually arrive?" Robin asked. "They don't," Maddie answered. "You just fired all of them." "Seriously?" Robin chuckled. Within an hour, ZipRecruiter had a job listing up, quickly followed with an advertisement, and LinkedIn soon added a posting as well. "Maddie, you're the new sales manager," Robin said, leaning back with a satisfied sigh. "Thank you, sir," Maddie responded. Who are you?" "Robin Boudreau," Robin introduced himself. "From," Maddie said, pointing to the Ford dealership across the street. "From," Robin replied with a smile. "So Mr. Prentiss was your father?" Maddie asked. "Yes, but to be honest, he was just the guy who got my mom pregnant," Robin admitted. The following week, Robin, Maddie, and sometimes Bobby, the chief mechanic, began working in the sales department of Prentiss Chevrolet. Many job seekers simply lacked the skills or aptitudes to become effective salespeople. "If you can't even sell yourself well enough for me to hire you, how are you going to sell someone a car for $30,000? He challenged several applicants. In the end, he assembled a team of 7 quick-witted, energetic young salesmen. General Motors has completed the investigation and allowed Robin Boudreau to continue running their franchise. Either they didn't associate Robin Boudreau with Boudreau Ford, or they just didn't mind. But Robin, who had to run 2 dealerships, was exhausting himself. He left the house at 6 in the morning and did not return until 10:30 or 11 in the evening. On those rare occasions when he wanted to frolic, his hand was the only source of release. Maddie and Benita, his salesmen at Prentiss Chevrolet, offered to fulfill any of his wishes. At Boudreau Ford, Simone and Clara made similar offers. Julia, however, has made it clear that she is ready to meet the needs of Simone or Clara. "It's beautiful," Robin said. "Can I take a look?" "Maybe you'll learn something," Julia replied with a smile. Returning home one night, Robin found that his milk had gone sour, with clumps floating in it. The cheese had taken on an unhealthy hue, and the bread was hard enough to use as a blunt weapon. "Shit," Robin muttered. When he arrived at Burns & Burns grocery store in Elgee at 11:41 p.m., he noticed there were very few shoppers. "Hi, welcome to Burns & Burns," said an attractive young cashier with a smile. "Hi, thanks," Robin replied, smiling back. The cashier watched as the handsome young man in an expensive-looking suit grabbed a cart from the rack and walked off. Sage Smith then cleaned her optical scanning screen once more and wiped down her conveyor belt again. Dolly, the only other cashier present, slumped against her register, clearly bored. She hadn't even bothered to process the extra items customers had left behind. Sage greeted the 2 young men with a friendly smile as they approached her register. They had 2 6-packs of St. Elizabeth lager, a bottle of cheap bourbon, a bag of corn chips, and a jar of salsa. "Looks like a party," she said with a grin as they set their items on the conveyor belt. "Yeah, you know it," the young African-American man responded, flashing a gold tooth. His white friend simply nodded along to an inaudible tune. "Can I see your ID?" Sage asked. "Oh, I left it in the car," the young African-American man said with a sheepish grin. "Go get it," Sage replied. "And you? ID?" Lost it, the young white man said. Sorry, but I can't ring this up until I see some ID, Sage stated firmly. Dolly told you not to come back. Dolly's voice came from the background. Damn woman, the young men muttered angrily at Sage. You two, get out. Don't come back, Junior, the night manager ordered. To hell with it, the African-American man began, but his bravado faded when he saw Junior's imposing stature. You think you can? Junior challenged, leaning in to get in the young man's face. I'll put this stuff away, Junior said, turning to Sage. Thanks, she replied, her expression remaining serious. Junior stood at 6 feet 8 inches tall. He had played both football and basketball during high school and college. After the events of September 11th, he felt a deep sense of duty and joined the U.S. Marines. Now, thanks to a prosthetic leg, he could walk, but he had lost his left arm. Despite his injuries, Junior remained unbitter. He viewed his sacrifices as a necessary cost for American freedom. Got friends who paid the ultimate price, he would tell anyone who inquired. Sage Smith, who was 4 feet 10 inches tall, was aware that Junior harbored a bit of a crush on her. While she liked him well enough, he was 35, nearly twice her age. Additionally, the idea of being touched by someone who had lost a limb made her quite uncomfortable. How's it going, sir? Sage heard Junior ask the young man in the suit. Going great. And you? Robin responded. Going any better? I'd swear I was dreaming, Junior said with a broad smile. Going any better? I'd swear I was dreaming, Robin mumbled to himself. Going any better? Junior went back to the front of the store, collected the loose items from Dolly's register, and walked around chatting with a few customers as he returned the items to the shelves. Sage resisted the urge to check her watch. She knew it wasn't even midnight yet. The 18-year-old girl surveyed her station, but found nothing to alleviate her boredom until customers arrived at her register. She had been working at Burns & Burns grocery store for just over a month, having started right after turning 18. Her mother and stepfather frequently mocked and belittled her, pointing out that they weren't working but still made nearly $1,700 a month, plus free housing. There's more to life than just sitting around and getting knocked up, Sage had said. Oh, I forgot, her mother Amy had sneered. You're white. Yeah, I'm white. Look in the mirror, Mom. You're white too, Sage had retorted. Sage Smith was Amy's eldest and her only white child. During her pregnancy with Sage, Amy had met Dwayne Jones. For the 4'7" Amy, it was love at first sight with the 6'3" ebony-skinned Dwayne Jones. Sage was born with fiery red hair and skin as pale as a sheet of paper. Sajay? The maternity nurse asked Amy. How do you spell that? S-A-G-E, Amy explained patiently. See, Smith? That's like everyone else named Smith, you know? But my baby's got her own name, you know what I mean? Uh-huh, the nurse said. Looks like Sage. But it's Sajay, Amy insisted. Now, at 18, Sage had 2 sisters named Age, pronounced A-J, and Lage, pronounced La-J Smith, and 2 brothers named Fremonte, pronounced Free-Emonte, and Tremonte, pronounced Tree-Emonte, Jones. The attractive young man had clearly completed his shopping and approached Sage's register. Sage pushed her ankle-length strawberry blonde hair back with a hand and smiled. Hey, how's it going? The man said, placing his items on the conveyor belt. Sage noted his purchases and thought, lives alone. His bare left hand also indicated he was single. As she scanned the items, they chatted casually. Your total is $81.19, Sage announced. Robin swiped his card and entered his PIN. Sage, that's a unique name, he remarked, glancing at her name tag. Well, I'm a unique girl, she flirted, hopping down from her box to start bagging his groceries. But it's pronounced Sajay. So what time do you get off, Sajay? He asked. 6, she replied, jumping back onto her box to press the print button on the register. "In the morning?" Robin asked, looking surprised. 9 to 6? Sage confirmed. "Have you ever had breakfast at Dusty's?" Robin inquired. "No, I've had lunch there once," Sage said. "Their brisket sandwich." "They have the best breakfast around," Robin said. "Big biscuits and the best milk gravy ever." That sounds really good," Sage said. "So, should I pick you up at 6? Robin asked. Sage blinked her large green eyes, staring at the charming man, then smiled. "I'm going to be super hungry," she warned. "I forgot to pack my lunch again." "I'm in the red Mustang," Robin said, pointing outside. He arrived at 5:50 and took a seat to wait. The store was just as quiet as it had been the night before. From his spot by the glass doors, he observed Sage working. She was petite enough to need a box to reach the conveyor belt and register, but her long, reddish-blonde hair and cute, shapely figure were noticeable. Her Burns & Burns uniform top stretched across her chest, though it hung loose on her arms and midsection. At 6 o'clock, another employee from Burns & Burns came to take over for Sage. 4 minutes later, Sage hurried out. "Hey, sorry I'm late. Linda always pulls that showing up late," Sage said, as Robin opened the car door for her. "This car is nice. What did you say it was?" "It's a 2015 Mustang," Robin replied. Robin drove quickly, hoping to impress the petite girl. "Is that a new suit?" Sage asked. "Huh? Not really. It's about 8 or 9 months old," Robin answered. "But you were wearing a different one last night," Sage noted. "Yeah, I don't like wearing the same suit 2 days in a row," Robin smiled. "Is that your real hair?" Sage asked as they arrived at the restaurant. "What?" Robin laughed. "My last boyfriend, Tommy, tried to give himself a perm and messed it up," Sage said. "Yes, this is my real hair," Robin chuckled. "I like how it's curly," Sage said, reaching out to run her fingers through Robin's thick brown hair. Robin ordered the country fried steak breakfast, while Sage chose the garden omelet. "Don't worry, I'm not one of those annoying vegetarians," Sage assured Robin. During breakfast, they chatted as two young people getting acquainted. Afterward, he drove her home. Sage noticed that Robin was taken aback by her neighborhood and seemed uneasy, clearly uncomfortable in the Waters housing project. Can I get your number?" Robin asked, pulling out his cell phone. "Sure," Sage replied with a smile, giving him her number. Then she leaned over the console and gave him a gentle, closed-mouth kiss. "Later, Gator," she said as she exited the car. Robin drove to work, spending the day shuttling between the two dealerships. Later, he asked Maddie for suggestions on a romantic date spot. "Henry's. My last boyfriend took me there, and then we went on a balloon ride," she said. "That does sound nice," Robin agreed. "Sounds a bit silly, but Jack once took me to that petting zoo in Pinocchio," Anita added, smiling as her client expressed interest in test driving the Malibu. In her dimly lit bedroom, Sage was trying to sleep. Despite the loud rap music pounding through the walls of their two-bedroom unit, she remained oblivious to the chimes and dings of her cell phone. Later she noticed she had a message and smiled when she heard Robin's voice, but gasped when he mentioned Henri's restaurant. She had seen the outside of the French restaurant a few times and could only imagine how it looked inside. Even girls, including white girls from Waters, didn't usually dine at Henri's. She quickly called Robin back and accepted his invitation for a date at 7 that evening. Sage put on her best, actually her only dress, and borrowed a pair of her mother's pantyhose. "I can't believe it, Robin Boudreau. You're leaving. Before 10 o'clock? Maddie teased as Robin bid her good night. Robin texted Sage that he was waiting, and she grabbed her purse. "Sorry, I just didn't want to leave the car out here," Robin said, noticing her worn dress and scuffed shoes. "It's fine," she replied. The maitre d' almost wrinkled his nose at Sage's appearance, but years of professional training kept him from doing so. The waiter and the wine steward also struggled to hide their disdain. Robin discreetly canceled the balloon ride and smiled as Sage grimaced at the wine's taste. "Ever been to Babbage's?" he asked. "Yeah, right, every day. I'm sick of the place," Sage scoffed. "Well, I need to get a tie from there. Want to come along and help me pick one out?" he offered. "I guess," she replied. Sage wasn't sure what she had eaten, but she knew she had enjoyed it immensely. Though she wasn't familiar with truffles, the rich dark chocolate and raspberry liqueur were a delightful treat that perfectly complemented the dark, thick espresso. "Thank you, Monsieur, Madame," the waiter said as they departed. Sage had only ever seen the outside of Babbage's before. Robin quickly picked out a red tie and grinned at Sage, giving a playful tug on her strawberry blonde hair. "What can I say? Red's my favorite color," he confessed. He then led Sage toward the petites department. Sage glanced at the dresses, saw a price tag, and almost bolted. "What do you think? Little black dress? Probably some hosiery to go with it." "Sage, do those shoes even fit you?" Robin asked a saleswoman. An hour later, Sage was in a daze as they left the store, a courteous young woman carrying boxes of her new clothes, shoes, hosiery, and bras to Robin's car. "Sir, please, I can't accept tips," the girl insisted as Robin offered her a $20 bill. "Well then, thank you," Robin said, as Sage slumped into the passenger seat of the Mustang. "There's no way I'm taking that stuff home," Sage suddenly exclaimed. "What?" Robin asked. "Shit, they see those boxes from Babbage's? They'll be kicking in our door in no time," Sage said. "Then we'll take it to my place," Robin suggested. "I wanted to show it to you anyway." The house Robin inherited from his father was almost as grand as Sage's house. She gazed in awe at the 3-story structure with shining white columns and immaculately manicured lawn. Inconspicuous built-in lamps accentuated the garden in front of the house and illuminated the entrance. Arnold installed the lighting to showcase the gardens he had invested so heavily in, as well as a safety measure. Thieves preferred the dark, and Arnold Prentiss's house had none of that. His 4 wives and many girlfriends would have noted that the interior of the house told a very different story. Sage was fascinated by the interior of the house, starting with the hallway. Her surprise did not abate throughout the entire tour that Robin led. That evening, Robin learned something else about Sage Amy Smith. She didn't like the wine served at Henry's, but she had a weakness for vodka. In addition, he found out that because of her height, she was quite easily intoxicated, and she also turned into a loving and cheerful drunkard. The more vodka she drank, the more tender she became. After the second serving of vodka with orange juice, she began to shower him with careless kisses, and then everything got even hotter. Sage might have been on a 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift at Burns & Burns, but after 5 vodka screwdrivers, she was hardly a morning person. A bowl of Rice Krispies and a cup of bitter coffee didn't seem like the ideal breakfast to wake up to. As she sat down, Robin's old football jersey rode up, and Sage realized she was gnawed underneath it. "What did you— oh God," Sage moaned. She covered her face with her small hands. "We had an intimacy?" she asked softly. Robin let her stew for a moment before shaking his head. "Nope. You wanted to, but you passed out right after we got into bed," Robin explained. "What? Oh my God, it's still dark outside," Sage exclaimed, glancing through the bay windows of Robin's breakfast nook. "Usually is at 5, Robin said. 5? Damn it, I'm going back to bed, jerk," Sage grumbled. Robin almost told her to get dressed so he could drop her off at home before heading to work. But instead, he shrugged, finished his breakfast, then took a shower and shaved. "See you," he said, giving her a kiss on the cheek. "Get lost," she mumbled, curling up further under his blankets. Julia from Boudreau Ford noted his cheerful demeanor. Robin smiled and told her to get back to work. Robin looked at his phone again, and his smile grew even wider. He didn't take advantage of Sage Smith's loss of consciousness. However, Robin Boudreau still photographed her stunning figure. He turned her over on her stomach and took another photo. Robin had draped his old football jersey over her, untangled her impossibly long hair, and let her sleep. He wondered if she was awake yet. When she answered her phone, her first question was where he was. "I'm at work," he replied. "Then how the hell am I supposed to get home?" she complained. "What time do you need to get home?" he asked, already heading towards his car. "I don't know. Whenever I get there, I guess," she responded. "Well, what time do you need to be at work?" he inquired. "What's today?" she asked. She realized she didn't need to be at work until the next evening, but she did need to wash her work shirt. "Put on those jeans we bought at Babbage's. Have you ever eaten at Cowboys?" Robin said as he started his car. "Is he leaving?" Jordan, one of the salespeople, asked Simone, another salesperson. Sage's jeans, which fit her perfectly, and her old football jersey looked really attractive on her. Plus, her mood had noticeably brightened since the morning. When he arrived at his house, she bounced down the steps and climbed into his car. "Hey, I hope it's okay, but I used your toothbrush," Sage said, giving him a kiss. "Not the red one, right?" he asked. "Actually, yes, the red one," she replied. "It was the only one available." "Oh no, that's the one I used to clean out my nose," he joked. "Well, I rinsed it off," she said. "What's Cowboys?" "It's a barbecue place and they have amazing malts," he answered. For a small girl, Sage had quite an appetite. She managed to finish her brisket sandwich, French fries, baked beans, half of his fried jalapenos, and a double mocha chocolate malt. "Ready to head home?" Robin asked. "Yeah," Sage replied with a shrug. "So where are we going tonight?" "Sales meeting at Boudreau Ford," Robin said. "So, nowhere." "Oh," Sage said softly. "What?" Robin asked. "Are you, getting rid of me?" she asked, gazing out of the car window. "What?" "No, sweetheart, I just have to work, okay?" Robin responded. "But we can't go anywhere after your stupid meeting?" she asked. "Like where? The only place open is Waffle House. Do you really want to eat there?" he asked. "Who said we have to eat?" Sage countered. By nearly 11 o'clock, Robin pulled up in front of Sage's building. The noise, sights, and smells unsettled him. Everywhere he looked, he saw unhappiness, sad, angry, or indifferent faces and signs of decay. Sage hopped into his car, still wearing her new jeans and his football jersey, holding a grocery bag. "These are my work clothes," she explained. Once again, she drank his vodka and even pouted when he suggested she might want to cut back. "Well, last night? I drank 5 drinks and just passed out," he reminded her. "It doesn't matter," she muttered, but refrained from the 4th. In his bedroom, she quickly took off her old tennis shoes and everything else. They kissed, their hands exploring each other. The first time was very uncomfortable. However, the second and third times were extraordinary. After that, they fell asleep. Sage grumbled again when he woke her up in the morning, kissed him, and told him to leave her alone. Robin started his day at Boudreau Ford, where business was booming and mechanics were busy. Keeping track of the time, he sent Sage a text at 11:30 to tell her that he would pick her up for lunch. "Really? Are you leaving again?" Jordan asked as Robin headed for his car. "Hi," Robin grinned. "I'm the boss, remember? I think I know how to do my job." Sage wasn't ready to leave. In fact, she was still in his bed. They were making love, although Sage chuckled when Robin called it that. "Call it whatever you want," she laughed. "Just give it to me." At 1:30, he dragged her out of bed and told her to get dressed before taking her to Dusty's for lunch. After that, he drove her back to her house. Once again, the surroundings seemed bleak to him. If Sage noticed his dejection, she didn't show it, chatting cheerfully. Sage was busy talking to Dolly, giving details about Robin and their night together. The doors opened, and Sage turned to greet the visitors. "Listen here," the young man shouted, brandishing a pistol. "Open the damn cash register!" Sage quickly pressed the no sale button, causing the drawer to open. When she pressed the button, Her left foot frantically pressed the silent alarm. "Come on, hurry up!" the young man shouted at Dolly. Dolly wasn't moving fast enough. He pulled the trigger and a deafening shot rang out. Dolly coughed and collapsed on the floor. "Damn it! Look what you made me do!" the young man shouted. "Oh my God, please! I don't want to die!" Sage pleaded, crouching under the open drawer of the cash register. "Damn it! Now I'm going to have to kill you too!" the young man shouted, pointing the gun at Sage's terrified face. "No, you don't have to! I swear I won't tell anyone!" Sage begged. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, there was a loud bang. Throughout the night, Sage spoke with the police and Junior and broke down over Dolly's life-threatening injuries. Then Robin arrived. She fell into his arms, crying and wailing. She had come close to death. A gun had been aimed directly at her head, and the young meth user had been ready to pull the trigger. "She doesn't work here anymore," Robin said firmly to Junior. "I understand," Junior replied with a somber nod. Robin drove the sobbing Sage to his home, helped her get undressed, and put her to bed. The next morning, he let her sleep in and quietly prepared for another day at work. Robin introduced Sage to his family. Framonte earned $20 by standing guard outside, keeping people away from Robin's Mustang. Sage also met Robin's mother. Though Robin said she was 44, April Boudreau looked closer to 60. Her face was wrinkled and sagging, with veins visible under her pale skin, both on her face and hands. April's hands shook uncontrollably until she had her first drink. Once she finished her glass of St. Elizabeth's premium whiskey, her tremors eased. "Man, boy, love her, yeah," April teased. "But how'd you find someone shorter than me, huh?" "Ooh-wee, had to do some looking, yeah," Robin said, his accent becoming thicker as he talked with his mother. "But Smith, that ain't no Cajun name," April continued. "You even know how to cook?" "Yeah," Sage replied, pretending to dial a phone. "Hello, Domino's?" After finishing her second drink, April tried to teach Sage how to cook. Sage was terrified of the heat, and when the frog legs started hopping around in the cast-iron skillet, she nearly fainted. "Don't worry, it's just nerves, yeah," April reassured her. "They taste just like chicken." "Then why aren't we eating chicken?" Sage asked. "Can't exactly go out and catch chickens," April replied. "Mom, really?" Robin laughed. "There's no way you went hunting for chickens." "Shh," April giggled. "She doesn't know that." They had lunch, and April managed to drink 4 more times before Robin and Sage left. During the lunch, Sage also drank 3 times, so she was feeling quite happy and affectionate. "You see why I don't like it too much when you drink?" Robin asked. "Huh?" Sage responded. "I mean, she seems fine, but look how drunk she got," Robin continued. He wiped away an angry tear. "I love her, but she's drinking herself to death," he said. Seeing how upset he was, Sage made a conscious effort to cut back on her drinking. The problem was, once she had one drink, she developed a craving for another, and a second drink only made her want a third. Sage's cravings grew even worse when she tried to quit drinking altogether. The desire was unbearable. Over time, Sage learned how to cook and clean. Her mother, Amy Smith, never bothered to clean their small apartment unless something happened to spill. Tasks such as washing the toilet, bathtub, or sink were completely unfamiliar to her, so she never passed these skills on to her daughters. However, Sage noticed that Robin takes care of cleaning his house himself, so she learned to clean herself by carefully following the instructions on the bottles of household cleaning products. One day, when Robin came home and expected intimacy after Sage had been cleaning and cooking all day, she snapped, "What? I've been cleaning all day. I've cooked dinner for you, and now you also want intimacy?" Robin grinned and replied, "Yes, Sage. Women have been cooking, cleaning, and intimacy since time immemorial." Sage countered, "Well, that's not happening here. You have a choice: stewed steak or intimacy." Robin asked, "Is it served with rice or with gravy?" "You're such a jerk," Sage laughed and kissed him. I love you. Robin teased her. You spend too much time with my mom. You weren't a little Cajun girl when I met you. Vernon Flehy was a neighbor of Robin Boudreau. The 40-year-old man had always disliked Arnold Prentiss, and Arnold felt the same way about the perpetually stoned, immature frat boy. After winning $500,000 on a lottery scratch-off, Vernon used 10% of his winnings, post-taxes, to buy 10 additional scratch-off tickets at each convenience store and gas station in the St. Elizabeth and St. Anne parish area. His gamble paid off. He won an extra $200,000 after taxes, which he used to purchase a house and a vintage 1974 Lincoln Mark IV. Since then, Vernon made a modest living selling items on eBay. With plenty of free time on his hands, he frequently hosted parties at his 3-story home, complete with a 12-person hot tub and a large lagoon-style swimming pool. Vernon never invited Arnold Prentiss to his parties, but he invariably invited Arnold's wife, Terry. Although Terry never came, Vernon continued to invite her whenever he saw her. When Robin moved into his father's house, Vernon pulled on his swimming trunks and came over to greet Robin. He also invited Robin to a party at his house. Robin decided to go and witnessed 30 or 40 young, barely dressed people having fun. One girl, who called herself a dancer from the Elegant, made Robin feel good. Another handsome young man, who said he danced in the Hummer, offered Robin the same thing. Vernon continued to invite Robin to parties, but Robin always refused them. The erratic behavior was quite disturbing, and the excessive alcohol consumption that he observed did not suit him. Nevertheless, Vernon continued to invite the attractive young man. Vernon ambled over to the Boudreau house and knocked on the door. He was hosting another gathering and had invited dancers from the Hammer, Elegant, Mickey's, and Conquistador, a new male strip club in Pinocchio. Yes? Sage inquired, eyeing the chubby man. Vernon grinned at the petite maid Robin had hired. Hey, sweet cheeks, is Robin around? He asked with a smirk. Nope, he's at work, Sage replied. Oh, I see. Well, when he gets home, let him know I'm throwing another party tomorrow around 8 or 9 in the evening, Vernon said. He glanced at Sage's tight t-shirt and short shorts. You should come too, Vernon suggested. That's tomorrow? Sage asked. Yep, right down the street, pink house, got it? Bring your own swimsuit, Vernon said, then turned and waddled away. Robin noted Sage's mention of the chubby neighbor's invitation. Saturdays? Sage, Saturdays are crazy at the dealerships. I can't make it, he said. However, he did try to get home early that Saturday night. 10:30 was early for Robin Boudreau. Sage, Sage, he called out, after checking the kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom. He felt a sinking sensation in his stomach. After changing out of his suit into casual khakis and a pullover shirt, Robin headed to Vernon Flehy's house. The music was blasting when he arrived, so he walked straight in. There was no sign of Sage in the front room, kitchen, or back deck. Robin eventually found Sage in the hot tub, where she was perched on one male dancer's lap while another dancer groped her. Sage! Robin called out sharply. Hey, you made it! Let me go! That's my boyfriend! Sage giggled, obviously drunk and high, as she pushed the dancer's hands away from her. Hi, baby! She shouted as she climbed out of the hot tub, her bikini top flapping loosely. She attempted to kiss Robin, but he recoiled. Oh, Robin's mad. Why are you mad, baby? Sage asked. Robin helped the now contrite Sage find her purse, shoes, and wrap, and they made their way home. Robin walked with determination, while Sage, with her shorter legs, had to hurry to keep up. Throughout the walk, she kept trying to talk. I don't want you ever going back there, understand? Robin exploded the moment they were alone in his home. Sage burst into tears. She had never seen Robin so angry, and it scared her. Her chemically altered mind felt guilt and remorse, though she wasn't entirely sure what she was feeling guilty about. Soon after, they reconciled by kissing. Sage then poured herself another vodka, which made her feel guilty, because she knew Robin didn't approve of her drinking, even though alcohol made her feel tender. Robin forgave her when she was close to him. A few weeks later, April visited Robin to teach Sage how to cook new recipes. By this time, April was very drunk and parked her car partly in the driveway and partly on Robin's manicured lawn. April and Sage cooked hot cornbread and stewed meatballs together while April drank Robin's whiskey and persuaded Sage to join her. Vernon, back in his swimsuit, headed for Robin's house. "Hello?" Sage called out to him. "Hey, I have another little party at my house tonight," Vernon said. "Around 9, grab your swimsuit." April whispered to Sage as Vernon walked across the lawn. "If I had something this small, I definitely wouldn't have been caught in a swimsuit." Sage replied, "Well, Robin doesn't want me to go there." "What? Does Robin tell you what to do?" April asked. "Not really, but he doesn't like this guy," Sage explained. But after drinking a little more, Sage decided that Robin had no right to dictate who she could be friends with and who she couldn't. April left the house around 9 o'clock, and she had to close one eye to see. Sage headed for Fleahy's house. When Robin entered the house, he found Sage sitting on one of the dancers' laps again. But this time they weren't in a hot tub. They were lying on the leather sofa in the living room, and all three of them were without outerwear. Drunk, Sage screamed with pleasure. She was cheating on him. "Like father, like son, I think," Robin said sadly and left the house. When he returned home, he found a jewelry box, opened it, and saw a small rose gold ring with 2 1-carat emeralds and a 1.5-carat diamond on the sides. The rose gold was pink, as was her hair, and the emeralds matched her green eyes. "Yes, like father, like son," Robin repeated with emphasis. "But Dad? At least I didn't marry her before I found out what she was like, huh?"